Alright, in this video we're going to be taking a look at the Nvidia Shield wireless controller for the Nvidia Shield tablet. So my Nvidia Shield controller just arrived, and if you've seen my Shield tablet review, I was very impressed with it, and I was kind of hoping that the Shield controller would change my stance on it as well. So the Shield controller is very similar to the Xbox One controller, I should say, but also has some similarities to the older Xbox 360 controller. Now, Nvidia is marketing this controller as a console grade controller, so I'm going to judge it as a console grade controller. I'm not going to be comparing it to something like a Moga or PhoneJoy, etc., or an iPega. So this is going to be graded with comparisons to other console grade controllers such as the PlayStation 4 controller and the 360 or the Xbox One controller. So let's take a look at this controller first. The first things you will notice is that it does use PlayStation 3 or 4 style analog setup, which for me is comfortable, and some people like that, some people don't, so I can't really say too much on that. The buttons are not very clicky and they're not very mushy. They have a good balance to them, and they do give you a good amount of tactile feedback. As you can see, you can hear them pretty well. It has your analog triggers, as console grade controllers do, your shoulder buttons, and they're located quite comfortably to access. There's not a big deal on that. So some of the added features that this controller has that a lot of other controllers don't, well, the PS4 does. For Android, this one does have a mic on it. Over here there's a mic input place where you can basically speak, or if you're doing team chat or something like that, that's pretty useful. It has a headphone jack. Since it uses Wi-Fi direct, you can pretty much hook up your headphones and listen to your audio from your game or your movies, and that's a very, very cool feature. I think that's one of the most interesting features about this controller. It has a USB jack, and that's basically to charge and also hook it up to your PC. Before I get into that, let me tell you about the update that Nvidia recently released with the G4 Experience 2.1.2. So this update basically added PC functionality to the controller, because previously this controller wasn't compatible with Windows PCs, and it would just work on your Shield tablet. So Nvidia did listen to the customers, which is very, very nice of them to do that, and they released it. And what that update actually does, and this is just a theory, I'm not really too sure about this. I think it flashes a different firmware on your controller, because you have to plug in your controller when you're updating, and it doesn't let you unplug it while it's doing that. So I'm reasonably certain that it updates the firmware of this controller, because there are some other features or bonus features this thing adds that even Nvidia does not advertise on their website. So originally this controller was only compatible with the Shield tablet. Then the update made it compatible with the PC, your GeForce PC, and maybe in the future they'll add it for other PCs. But another thing this update does is it basically lets you use this controller on any Android tablet with a USB OTG cable. Yeah, I mean any Android tablet. I have another Android tablet which I'll be showing you, and it works very well as a hit controller. And this is something Nvidia doesn't advertise on their website, which I think they should, because this is a good thing. If people are interested in this product, they could use it as a OTG, with an OTG cable on any Android tablet, and that's a good thing. So I did talk a little bit about the analog sticks, similar to the PS4. Let's get into some of the other features, which you have your home button, you have your start button, back button, all Android features, which very well done, and they work well. It has a mouse trackpad. The mouse is what's the word? Terrible. It's terrible to use, but it's okay for your media functionality. If you're far away and you're attached to a TV, it's reasonably usable, but it's not that great. Now, let's get into the D-pad. So, I don't know what happened here. The D-pad is terrible, and it's not good. This D-pad is actually worse than the D-pad on the Nvidia Shield Portable, which had a decent D-pad with some issues. This D-pad is extremely stiff, and I'm going to demo that for you. It's just too stiff. Some people might find it okay, but for long-term use, if you're going to play retro games, this D-pad is simply too stiff. It's not as bad as, you know, the cheaper controllers, but if you're going to say that this is a console-grade controller, I expect something, you know, a little more well, not the Xbox 360, that's not a good D-pad either, but a little more closer to what PlayStation offers in their D-pad. I mean, this D-pad is too stiff to use for a lot of fighting games, 2D games. It's not extremely stiff, but it does get cumbersome at some point. So those are the basics of this controller, and let me get into the weight. So this weighs quite a bit. I'm not sure of the exact weight, but you could go online and check it up. But it does weigh quite a bit. I wish it was a little bit lighter. It's not that I'm sensitive to weight, but I can see this becoming a problem if you're going to use it for a long time, because the weight is balanced on your middle finger when you're holding your controller. Depends on how you hold it, but I usually, when I'm not using the triggers, my fingers are located here, so the weight is going over there, similar to the Shield Portable. Of course, it's quite a bit lighter than the Shield Portable, but the weight does factor in when you're going to be playing for hours and hours on end. So we're going to be taking a look at the analogs and what issues they have or they don't have, and I'm going to be showing you the D-pad. I'm also going to be demoing this on my Galaxy tablet to show you the other features. So let's start with the Shield tablet itself. I need something to hold this back. Let me just keep this box here, and let's start it up. So as you can see, I have Skyrim game streaming here from my PC, and the wireless controller, I forgot to mention, it uses wireless direct, and it's very easy to connect to the Shield tablet. Basically your Wi-Fi is on and it just connects once you click that middle button. So we're going to test the analog over here, and as a lot of you might know, especially Shield Portable owners, there was a dead zone issue. Now this is a very important issue for people who play first-person shooters like me and other games that rely on accuracy in first-person mode. So let's take a look at the dead zone and how it affects. So as you can see, I'm moving my stick, okay, and you don't see any movement on the screen. This is very bad. So if you are going to call this a console grade controller, you cannot do this. This is unacceptable. This is how much I have to do to move it. This is not correct. It's unacceptable. And Nvidia can fix this. This is the same issue which we had with the Shield Portable controller, and I think there were a dozen or more posts about this on the Shield forums, and they still didn't fix it. This is not acceptable. If I pay $60 for a controller, I expect more. I expect a better dead zone, and this is a console grade control. I don't mean to bash Nvidia. They have done a very good job with some of the controller features, and that's excellent. The PC support, I really appreciate that, but this is something, you know, very basic. This is we expect better controls for first person shooters, and Nvidia can fix this if they want. It's not something that can be fixed. If you have a program like Tin Core, you know, it can be fixed. You can collaborate the dead zone on that, and it works pretty well. So this needs to be fixed. I mean, for a $60 controller, this is unacceptable. So barring that, the controls feel quite good. If you ignore that thing, the dead zone, the controller feels quite good. It's very sturdy. It's nice. It feels nice to hold despite the weight. I wish it was a little bit lighter, but you know, I can't fault Nvidia for that. It's still a good controller either way. The left stick works pretty well. You know, it's quite accurate as far as I can tell. I'm not using a program, but it feels quite accurate. All the controls, they work great. No delays, so no complaints over there. And now let me just show you the D-pad. So as I said, the D-pad is a bit stiff. So right now I'm just tapping my D-pad. I'm not tapping it hard, and actually it's correct that it doesn't register because it's not hard enough. So I'm going to tap it a little bit harder. You can hear that sound? That's too much. That's too hard. That's not correct. The D-pad needs to be a little more sensitive. I shouldn't have to. That sound shouldn't happen. I shouldn't have to do that. That's not good for a D-pad. So this is not an issue if you're going to be playing modern games. This issue won't really come up. This is more for the niche retro crowd like me, who we play a lot of retro games. So for us, this is a problem. But for you guys who play, regular games on your, Nvidia Shield with the game streaming or even Android games, it shouldn't be much of an issue since the analog works well. So let me show you how this works on the Galaxy tablet. So let me just hook it up with my OTG cable. And there we go, hook it up. So I have Warhammer loaded up on my Android device. This is the Galaxy Note 2014 edition. I'm sorry if the screen is a little bit less bright, but as you can see, the shooting button, the jump, everything works fine. And oops, I finished the level. But this controller does work with other Android tablets, so I'm not sure why Nvidia doesn't advertise this feature, but they should. I think it's good for them because I mean, people want to use this controller and they like some features. Of course, the microphone feature, I'm not sure. I don't think that works. The headphone feature doesn't work because those are Wi-Fi direct features. But I do believe the home button feature works fine. The back button feature works fine. This one works fine too, so it loaded up splashed out for some reason. The mouse, I am not able to get it working. The click works, but the mouse doesn't really register that well on, at least not on the Note 2014 edition. I'm sure it'll work on other devices. So it works with gamepad mappers, it works with other Android devices. You will have no issues with that, and that's very good. I'm very impressed with Nvidia that they decided to do that. So towards the end of this video, what can I say about the Shield controller? Is it worth $60? And is it a console grade controller? No, it's not a console grade controller. Is it worth the asking price? I think it's $60, $59. I paid like 90. So no, it's maybe if it's a bit cheaper, something like $45 or so. That's reasonable because to be fair, they added good features. This home button, back button, start button, this works well, and they added these features. And the mic feature, the headphone jack feature, those features are really good. They work very well with the Shield tablet, and that's worth it. But they shouldn't compare this to a console grade controller because it has issues. I would hope in the future they fix this dead zone issue, because this is a problem for first-person shooters, and it's unacceptable. The D-pad, that's nobody's fault. I mean, that's just their manufacturing process. And if you want to go into the D-pads, the Xbox 360 controller is just as terrible. This is a little less. This is more sensitive, but come on, it's not good for retro games. The Xbox 360, it sucks. This one, same issue, but otherwise, it's a good controller. Barring the issues. So this is my review of the Shield tablet controller. I hope it helped you in some way. If you liked the video, go ahead and like it. If you dislike it, go ahead and dislike it. But as always, thank you for watching.